10, 9, 8,
7.
Well, I got a razor. I'm just gonna figure out how to do it.
All right, grab your cup of coffee and come back in.
The American Heart.
All right, we'll get started back. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
But we can keep going for instead. It's awesome.
Left 45 or so for lunch. What time is lunch show up? I don't know. We'll probably wait about 45 minutes, make sure we're ready. All right, so we'll do a little kind of like a formula just to get you to think about tank water and hydrant water being used together in a suburban, or an area where you might have a fire load or a potential fire beyond the capabilities of the hydrant to maximize your tank water and your hydrant water. And also, there's one thing we have to remind ourselves of. Not all hydrants are created equal. Hydrant could be sitting on a 6-inch main, 8-inch main, 10-inch main, 12-inch main. Could be on a loop system. Could be a hydrant that puts out 40 psi, or it could be like I was in Estes Park, Colorado, where the movie Shining was filmed, and the hydrants there could be about 180 psi. 180 psi. We had to literally gate down on the water supply and pump on our 2.5 and 3/4 when we were doing a live run. So right here too, like in this hydrant right here, the steamer on this, the 4.5-inch steamer is welded shut. The water department welded it shut because of the age of the main and the size, and the water department was worried about collapsing the main. Now, I'm not saying it's not possible, but with my travels with fire conferences and teaching all over the country and networking with people all over the country, I mean, it is so rare that you hear about a fire department pumping hydrants and collapsing the main. Does it happen sometimes? But it's rare. I mean, it's like real rare. But that's what the fire chief wants to always say. Well, you're going to collapse the main. You're going to collapse the main. It's like people talking about us burning up pumps. How many of you have seen a warped bent propeller up of a fire pump from an overheating and destroyed the fire pump? Raise your hand. One or two. The one you saw was probably your state fire academy, where they really didn't burn it up. They took it out of the pump, they took one of the mechanics hammer, they beat the shit out of it just to brainwash you, and that's what happens when you don't circulate water. That's what they did in the Florida State Fire College. Because they only got one of them, and they've been using the same impeller sitting on a shelf in a classroom, in a hydraulics classroom, to brainwash them. Can it happen? Yes. Now, who in here has been to a car fire, a trash fire, or a house fire where they weren't circulating water, you open the nozzle, the water was so hot it almost scalded your hand and you didn't have a glove on, right? I've had that a bunch of times, but guess what? The pump is still fine, whatever. Am I telling you how to circulate water? No, I'm not telling you that. What I'm telling you is, though, is some of our training actually does not provide safety. It almost becomes so consumed with apparatus damage that it's dangerous for us operating a fire. Now, what I mean by that is on a booster backup. If an engine company's operating a fire ground with 750 or 1,000 gallon booster tank, we'll cover this some more, but I really want to hit it home with you. And they're pumping a fire and they're doing a fast attack. And the second new engine company comes in and it drops that 75-foot 3-inch feeder line and it's feeding its water to a 3-inch feeder line to the auxiliary intake of the first rig. Everybody see that? You're basically you're nursing, you're dropping a tank. Well, a little over 15 years ago, whenever I was at a fire, we'd already been doing the booster backup, but I had yet, coined the term booster backup, and I had not built the Gallons per Second program, 03, 04. as soon as that empty light just starts to blink, what does this driver literally go into a seizure activity to try to do? They literally do. What do? I mean, they go into a convulsion of like shutting it down, jumping up in the cabin, like breaking shit, because they think what's going to happen to the pump because the empty light just started blinking a split second ago. It's going to cavitate, it's going to blow the pump up. Am I not telling the truth? That's like, the reality though is, if they did nothing, and that empty light started blinking, on most of your fire trucks, how much more water is left when the empty light is blinking? Not much. On my rig, it's 250 gallons. 250 gallons, a third of the tank. When the empty light starts blinking, a third of the tank, you're looking at me like I'm crazy, but across the country, we've got one out there looking at him. I get your attention. You know what? I know you. I see the guy like you before. You're like a class clown smart ass in the firehouse. I can tell. I call him. What's he still on the front row? You'll be real interesting. No, seriously. Across the country, with all my travels, with people I talk about it, and they'll email me back, they're all excited because they don't believe it, right? And they'll email me back, and then sometimes they tell me the empty light blinks and it's almost empty out. But most of them, I don't have a spreadsheet, most of them is 100 to 250 gallons of water still left in the tank when the empty light starts blinking. Because the apparatus manufacturer, what? Builds in an over safety factor of when it's empty. Now, like some of you can't buy into this, right? But I know what you can relate to. I know what you can relate to. How many of you are married? Raise your hand. All right. Your significant other comes to you at 5:30 and one of the kids has to be in the ballpark. And they want you to take Johnny or Susie to practice. And right as you're leaving, you're going to use their car. They tell you, oh, by the way, the low fuel lights on. See, it's not a real big problem because all you're going to do is say, well, when did it come on? And if they tell you that it came on their way home, you're like, oh, no problem. I can drive to the park and back home to the grocery store and then go back tomorrow night and you're going to know you're still going to have enough what? Because you know exactly how far you can drive on a low fuel tank on your Silverado, if you're an intelligent person. We won't get into the drive sports, but that's okay. But can you relate to that when I'm talking about the low fuel light? Can you relate to that? Oh, whether you can drive 17 miles or 32 miles, it's crazy, right, when it comes on. Same concept. And I'm going to get through again some slides now, but I want to make you realize that when you're pumping a fire off the booster tank, and they stretch a line and they charge it, just filling up the hose line, right as they get a flow pressure, what does the full light do? It goes out. So, if we were talking about this in class, what would most driver operators or chiefs think that the booster tank is down to? 3/4. But in reality, it's still full because where's the sensor for the full light? At the very tippy top. Now, I wish when I went and got a pint of Guinness last night at the Kelp that they understood full meant at the very top instead of an inch down. The glass is this big at the top and it's this big at the bottom, right? Because they don't ever, they call that full though when it's a pint, it's an inch down, right? Well, for us, we'll fill that booster tank, and to get it full, it has to be the sensors at the very top. You even use a fraction of water, and you get to the 3/4. Is that not a misrepresentation of what's really in your booster tank? So what happens is, now that people truly don't understand the tank level light sensors and what they really mean, when they get to a fire, they're already a scary Mary or a scary Bill or whatever they happen to be, and they're not even comfortable in their own shoes at a structural fire, and you're operating off the booster tank, and they stretch a line, fires out 2 windows, they charge it, they water the grass. When I'm talking about watering the grass, what am I talking about? Getting a flow pressure, making sure I'm locked and loaded, and right when they're breaking the threshold of a 1-story, 1,800 square foot private building with fire out 2 windows, which is, oh my God, we're excited because it's fire. But it was smoke, and you're like, no big deal. And you should be more excited about black smoke rolling out the windows than fire. And the driver operates on the radio, engine 3 is down to 3/4. Oh man, that's when the chief really starts to shake. Right? Because they've only been in about 2 fires themselves. Oh, I thought that was in Florida. And the engine company makes the turn, and they put a little bit of water off the ceiling, and they're pushing down the hallway, and then the driver comes back and says, we're down on half a tank, because a 3/4 light went out, because when all our apparatus, 23 station fire department that we are, 125 gallons of water is all it takes out of a 750 gallon booster tank to make the 3/4 light go out. So now it's a driver on the radio saying we're down to a half a tank. And we still got fire coming out through windows, so now what's the person in the radar? They're really shaking their boots, right? But the reality is, we're almost at like 90% of our tank capacity. Because when it gets to the half tank level life, that's just getting started. And it's kind of like your fuel tank. Some of you in your cars, like it stays full for a long time, but then when it gets to a half a tank, what does it seem to do? It like drops off real fast, or vice versa. Anybody with that? Where like it doesn't equally drop throughout the whole thing. It's like, it's a weird sensor, same thing on a booster tank, if you will, on how it drops. And we have to understand, don't take my numbers away. I'm telling you this before I get the slide, because if I show you the slide, everybody's like taking a picture, and then they want to go back, and they want to use that picture instead of doing what themselves. You see it like earlier. Do the work. I think it was you that had the shirt. Do the work. Don't take my numbers. I'm just here to motivate you, hopefully, to go find out how much water does it take to make your full light go out. How much water does it take to make your 3/4 light out, get your full. And then when you get to empty, whatever hose line you're flowing with, you stopwatch how many seconds, or if it takes more than a minute, from empty to cavitation, and now you calculate the GPM per second, or gallons per second, per number of seconds, and that'll tell you how much water is truly left on that low fuel light. For us, it's 200 to 250 gallons. There are some Pierce quantums in South Walton near us, when the empty light goes empty, it's empty. I mean, it's like immediately cavitating. So there's two extremes. And you have to figure out based on your rating where those sensors are, what it's truly 100% telling you. So we're talking about boosters supporting a hydrant. So anybody have these kind of hydrants in their area? Flush plugs? Well, if you don't have these, look at this as just a weak hydrant. Because you all have some weak hydrants somewhere dead in Maine, in the back of the neighborhood, or outside of town. Well, this hydrant right here, we flow tested it, and it provides 275 gallons a minute. Now, if I didn't tell you that, I just showed you this hydrant, and there was no text up there, a lot of you look at that thing and say, what the hell is that GPS thing? That's what people in Northwest Florida, these are all over Northwest Florida here. Up until we started training on them and flow testing, fire apparatus would be sitting on a good house fire. This thing would be sitting in the front yard or 100 feet away, and up until a few years ago, they wouldn't even look into it. They devalued it, you with me? Remember a minute ago when I had the entry recorder coming up the regular hydrant? They devalued this because it technically is a flush plug. It's at the end of a main, or it's in a system where they isolate a valve, and they do this to do what? To drain out the municipal water supply. But they make it where a fire truck can fill up the tank off of a car fire. Well, in the woods behind this hydrant are two large 8,000 plus square foot houses. The first two engine companies from Midway, where I grew up, where I lived, that were to show up for this fire 1,000 gallons each. Some of y'all run 1,000 on your engines. So the first engine 35 is 1,000 gallons, engine 37 is 1,000. So when they pull up, if they drop the 3-inch 75-foot feeder line one rig to the other, and they hooked into this hydrant that's giving them 275 gallons a minute before they even started flowing water, for 4 minutes they could flow 775 gallons a minute. Is that a decent water flow? 3 2.5s, or a ram and 1 2.5. Now if they pulled up and they didn't hook into this flush plug or this small makeshift hydrant, and they just flowed off of tank water for 4 minutes, what's the max? They get 500. 4 times 500 is 2,000. But when they take the tank water and the hydrant together, for 4 minutes, they can give that fire an initial punch of 775 gallons a minute. Now, in 4 minutes, when both tanks are empty, what's the sustained supply going to be until another rig with tank water or another hydrant is caught? What's the supply going to be? 275. I just use this as a little formula to let you see that even a weak little hydrant will give you 275. When you put it with tank water, can you have an initial pretty decent punch on a house fire of a pretty good size? Guaranteed. But it's understanding value of the rural water supply, tank water, and hydrant water, even if it's not the ultimate hydrant that you really want. And behind it, those are the houses. That's what protects those two houses. That's the most reachable, closest hydrant. So if they get a good fire in one of these, do they want to pull up and just be hitting it with tank water? No. Do they want to be pulling up and just hitting it with that hydrant and go behind? They want to be able to they want to put both together as fast as they can and just hope and pray that initial punch is going to be the best they can. What if I pulled up that same hydrant, gave you 275, and it was a single wide manufactured home? Could that possibly be acceptable, decent? Because that's almost two inch and a half, right? Or 2 inches and 3/4, 275. So as I talk about today, I want you to value tank water. I want you to value hydrant water. I want you to value the hydrant and tank area together as a team water supply. I want you to value that even an inch and 3/4 off of a hydrant, if that's all you can get, it's better than nothing. Because we have to look at it that way, that, you know, whatever water we can get, maximizing it. Water accountability, water use, water efficiency, if you will. Back up just a second. Who has the potential to go to a trailer fire? I'm going to tell you that a lot of people joke about it, but trailer fires have significant hazards. And at the end of the day, if you make an attack on a trailer fire inside, it's really no different than going to a 700, 800 square foot apartment on a second floor of a garden apartment. Other than you have a higher probability that something bad can happen to you just based on the floor. If it's an older one, you can fall through the floor, get trapped up your waist. The metal roof can fall in on you. Has highly combustible siding. Now, I want to tell you, I have a class on just talking about trailers versus manufactured homes. What's the difference between a single wide trailer and a manufactured home? Paneling is combustible in the trailer walls. Floors more highly combustible or fall through. A manufactured home is going to have thermal pane windows and sheetrock walls, and so energy efficient that you could have a smoke explosion or a fire that could hyperventilate in a bedroom if the door was closed. So when you pull up, there is a difference. In our job, most of our company officers, when they size up, they're going to get on scene and they'll say whatever. Engine 16 Escambia, on scene, older style, single wide. When they say older style, single wide, everybody's responding. What are they thinking? Paneling, floors that are more dangerous to be operating on, higher probability of the roof coming down on them. Everybody see that when the roof like falls down on a mobile home. Single pane windows. And depending on the neighborhood, there's a higher probability of array of hoarding conditions up under the trailer, a pile of stuff, so if you were to fall through and floors, it could be a lawnmower, gasoline, propane, those sort of things. If you pull up, they say it's on scene, newer style, single wide manufactured home. They know at the end of the day that's really not much different than a site-built house. The floors are solid, you're probably not going to fall through them at all. It's got thermal pane windows, it's got sheetrock walls, and really it's just kind of like an all-grade house. And for our department, that's a significant thing. When we have a company pushing in on an older style single wide trailer fire, most of the time, I can't say, you never say all the time, most of the time, we're going to have a company staff on an exterior hose line for nothing but, if they fall through the floor, that they can rapidly do what? Apply in case the fire were to light off below underneath with this dried out vegetation, lawnmowers, fuel cans. Why do we do that? Based on the history of us having people, firefighters fall through because we're really aggressive. And when they fall through, anybody ever fall through a trailer before and get trapped? Right? Your legs are like that. You can't do anything. You're like helpless, right? You need somebody above to pull you in. Half the time they're falling through the floor. You really need somebody to crawl up under the trailer and almost like get a box of cribbing or something that they can do what? Self-extricate, where they can literally step on something to step back through the hole, if you will. So those are just things to think about, that there is a difference, even though it might be the same square footage, it looks the same, and truly understanding the building constructions and how they burn. I personally have been to more fires that self-extinguished, where nobody was home and there was a fire. I've been to more fires that have self-extinguished, where it literally burned up a room or two rooms, and a manufactured home, single wide or double wide, than I have residential site-built structures. Because they're so airtight, like a Yeti. It wouldn't be like built where they, in a place where they build it like in a big warehouse, and it's sealed up so much that it's like a Yeti. When that fire starts to burn, and that single wide or double wide manufactured home, it's like being in a Yeti cooler. The Yeti cooler, it isn't going to be long. What's the fire going to run out of? Oxygen. And so that's one thing we tell our folks. You pull up on a manufactured single wide or double wide, you see a blacked out window, and the other ones are clear. What you probably had is a fire that's fully contained to a single room. It just ran out of oxygen because it lit off so fast, and it was so, square footage was so low, 8-foot ceilings, and packed, and it couldn't even have the time to burn through that thermal pane window or that door. Water supply, talking about big fires, a 300-foot drill, fully tapped with a hydrant, understanding length times width about 3. This is a furniture refinishing warehouse, 55 gallons worth of paint that are lacquered there, built cabinets. It's huge. Guaranteed 120,000 square feet. But we'll just drop it down and cut it in half. We'll just say, another formula I'll talk to you about, we're talking about big water supply. 60,000 square feet. 60,000 square feet. No, you know what? We're gonna drop it more. We're gonna call it 45,000 square feet. What's 45,000 square feet divided by 3? 15,000 gallons a minute. Where do you get 15,000 gallons a minute? A minute ago I did. Somebody tell me now, what's 15? In relation to RAMs, the Mercury or the Blitzfire. Who has one of those little portable monitors, whether it's a Blitzfire, RAM, or Mercury? Raise your hand. I'm just surprised that more people don't have it. Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about. The little rapid attack monitors that flow 500 gallons a minute. Man, folks, I need to watch brass tacks and hard facts. Where y'all been? Oh, y'all probably watching Chicago Fire on Wednesday night or something like that. Ladder 49 for the 49th time. Trying to learn how to recycle words. Most of you are old enough to say, hey, you go, we go. You don't know what that shit means, do you? That was a real fire movie. All right, we won't go down that path. Or 15,000, how many RAM rapid attack monitors, inch and 3/8 tips at 80 PSI, how many is 15,000 gallons a minute? 30 of them! Or it's 15 ladder pipes with a 2-inch tip. Or it's 62.5-inch attack lines flowing 200 gallons a minute. That's about all I'm going to give you today. We're talking about big fire with water. That's what I do in my big fire with water classes. I try to teach firefighters, officers, and chiefs that when they pull up on the career fire, maybe when they're that career fire, the one I talked about yesterday, where at 26 three-story condominiums burning, a private dwelling on the Bravo side, on the Delta side, a 2-story quadplex. It's where you look at that, everybody's all excited, you look at it, and you just divide the amount of fire by 3, and you say, you know what, we don't even have the nozzles, even if they gave us the water. It was being realistic when downtown Broadway is on fire. And the chief and the deputy chiefs out of town, you're in command, you pull up, and you gotta say, you know what, shit, we don't even have enough nozzles, you know what I mean? And you gotta be realistic, and you gotta be able to tell everybody, you know what, we're gonna write off 268, 270, 272, 274 South Broadway, and we're gonna stop it at the 400 block. Because in history, so many chief officers in this country have burned down buildings they shouldn't have burned down because they were unrealistic of their fire flow, staffing capabilities, that they tried to stop it. As they're trying to stop it, what did it do? It just dropped the city street the next block and started burning again. So we're talking about, that's what we had in this fire here. For the ones that weren't here yesterday, we want to join you in on the fun. How many of you weren't here yesterday have ever been to that fire? It wasn't you, of course, it was somebody else. They were an engine company laid a supply line to the scene, and Johnny or Susie was taking that 5-inch, and they were going to hook it up to the attack pumper. They accidentally hooked it up to the LPH discharge instead of the piston intake. Raise your hand if you weren't here yesterday and you've experienced that. Just one? Bunch of liars in here. Yeah, correct. Full hookup, or a heavy hookup as some people call it. That's the only way to truly maximize your water supply. If you're going to catch a hydrant down here on the downtown area of Idaho Falls and you want maximum water, you better have 3 lines coming off a hydrant into an engine that's pumping a hydrant. That's the only way to get maximum water. The fire service has got to wake up and stop doing a 5-inch or 4-inch LDH forward lay and not maximizing a full up using those 2 other ports. It's pretty significant, especially if it's on a main bigger than 6-inch. You're going to get water, you're going to maximize water by hooking up to all 3 of those. Limited sustained supply. Understand the booster backup. This is the initial phases of our booster backup operation that we've been talking about. The only thing that's different today than what you see in this picture is every engine company in Escambia County and our liner company are Quince. In the tray, right there where that driver operator is, where you see a little bitty white hose in that tray. Now, instead of back when we first started doing it, the first 5, 6, 7 years, we ran a traditional 50-foot of 2.5 and a small 25-foot section of homemade 2.5. And what happened is they're going to fires, and when the first new engine company got there, they'd stretch a line to attack the fire. The driver operator would charge the attack line, the extra quarter for a private dwelling. As soon as they got charged, they would reach down and that tray, they'd pull off that 50-foot of 2.5, and the mail company would be folded out. You can do that, don't tell them that. The threads are going to be okay. Doesn't have to always be in the center to protect the threads. All right? It's going to be okay. All right. And you pull that thing backwards. So what's in your hand? The mail company. And you put it in the auxiliary engine. And the line just sits in the middle of the street. And we call that the measuring stick for the second new engine company. So when the second new engine company's coming in, and they're gonna pull in behind that first 2-engine company. They're gonna look down, they're gonna see the female coupling, and right as it passes the driver window, they're gonna look, and they're gonna just go just far enough to where that coupling can do what? Hook into their number 1 discharge. Before they get out of the rig, they're gonna put it in neutral, they're gonna put it in pump, they're gonna put it in drive, they're gonna get out. How long is it gonna take? Less than 30 seconds. When they get out, they're gonna pick up that hose, they're gonna hook it into the number 1 discharge, they're gonna spin it about 6 times, and they're gonna open it up, send just idle pump pressure, and then they'll boost it up. From when that second new rig pulls the parking brake, how long do you think until they're able to send water to that first new rig from their booster tank? Man, it's fast. It's like real fast. We've had literally engine companies on scene on a 2-car garage, like blitzing it, knocking it, punching it in the throat, and on scene. Engine 319 to 17, get here now, I'm out, I'm on empty. And I mean, they're just not just a tuber fire, they're not gonna poop out of the fire. They'll pull in, and literally they'll put it in pump, they'll jump out, they'll hook it up there, and they'll throw it, and right there, that first 2 inches cavitate, and right as it's cavitate, what does that 3-inch feeder line do? Boom, and they just keep on running. Now, when we do something like that, we don't have anybody inside, that's just a wall of fire. We're literally, right now, the only reason the second didn't catch a hydrant, because if we delayed that second tank, what would we not be able to make the most of that first tank? It would have just been a waste of water, because by the time the hydrant got there, the fire would got into water again. It's like right when you almost got him down, you just need a little more, but you back off for 3 minutes. What's it going to be? Back to a full roar. You got him down, all you need is just that little rig. Just give me 30 more seconds to hold it in the timeout for third due for supply. So why do we convert now? Standard across the entire county, all 23 stations, we run a custom ordered 3-inch green 75-foot feeder line. We went from the 50 and 25-foot section of the tray to one 75-foot 3-inch green feeder line. Male coupling's still on the outside, it'll be okay. Why do we do 75? What does that allow that second new company to do? Not pull right behind the first new rig, so we can still get one out when we have our ladders coming in the rear. So now, that 75-foot line, even for that Johnny Vesuvius that's all excited and they're dying to get to the scene, it literally makes them park in the right spot, because if that great feeder line's out, they're going to pull just past, they're going to hook it up. Now there's enough room between the front of their rig and the first new rig that we can still get our ladders out of the back of that first new engine company. Or there's enough room if we want to stretch that bumper line as a safety line or a rig line coming off that second rig, we can. Also, we found that a 3-inch 75-foot feeder line is about the perfect max length of 3-inch line. It can still be bowled pretty decently by one person themselves, instead of trying to hook up a 15 and 25. What else do we use those 75-foot feeder lines? Sometimes they're not used to feed an FPC. We prefer 3-inch, 3 inches over a 5-inch LVH on pumping an FPC. Why? Because they're tested at a higher pressure at the factory than 5 inches based on the way the couplings are hooked over a Stokes coupling. Now listen here. We've done significant testing, and we can take 2 of our 75-foot 3-inch feeder lines, which swell a little bigger. We take 2 of our 3-inch 75-foot feeder lines, put them together, have 150 feet of hose in the ground, and still achieve 1,500 gallons a minute for feeding a ladder pipe or some big water supply. I tell you that because here's the biggest thing: the hydraulics person is sitting in class, they're getting their book, they're like filling their numbers, they're writing them all down, and they're like, well shit, they got 5-inch coming in that second new rig. How they gonna make all that 5-inch water and feed it to the first rig to a 3-inch? Well, that 5-inch intake is at whatever, 50, 60, 70, 80 pounds. Do you agree with that coming in the piston intake? And now that water comes to that second new pump, and what can that second new pump do with that water that came in at 50, 60, or 70 pounds through that 3-inch? Set it to 100, 150. So here's again. If you're having a hard time buying into supplying one rig to another with 2.5-inch or 3-inch hose as a water supply option over 5-inch, because that's the biggest test in coast to coast, is chiefs, driver operators, and company officers thinking that we got to use LDH, so bring the rig. Who in here has somebody in your job that's the way they think? Raise your hand. Just be honest. Raise it, hold it up. Raise your hand, hold it up. Come on. Raise it up high. I'm telling you, it's crazy how many of that's what they do. Excuse my French, 5-inch hose sucks when it's anything but catching a hydrant driving down the road. Anytime you're laying it out, you're looking at rig to rig, it is the most stupidest design of anything manufactured in the American fire service. We are brainwashed in that whole sports crap. And how many people does it take to disconnect an LDH 5-inch company these days most of the time? Two, because they got those stupid locks on there, these big old spanners and all. It's like the most pathetic design ever created. Well, we bought into it, hook, line, and sinker. Now listen to me. I didn't finish early, but I didn't forget. I'm just trying to give you all as much as I can. I'm not sure when I'm coming back to 5,000 feet elevation. Whew, just my breath. 6 by 6, I said 600 gallons a minute, 600 feet, right? 2.5. Now, if you change that, you make that 3-inch hose, you make that 3-inch hose, it's 3-inch hose, you can move 900 gallons a minute up to 600 feet. That's the max now. And that would be at 250 PSI pump discharge pressure. That's like the rig's really forcing that water. And if you stay with 3 inch and you wanted to go a longer distance, then if it was still 3 inch, you could do 600 gallons a minute up to 900 feet at 3 inch. So what does that mean? If I have a long driveway, that some of y'all have out here in the rural parts of Idaho, I could drop a 3-inch line in a mailbox, drive 8, 7, 8, 900 feet down the driveway, hook that 3 inch into my auxiliary intake, and if an engine out in the street had a water supply, it hooked into the discharge, and they cranked it up to 250 PSI discharge pressure, they could get them almost 900, or almost 600 gallons a minute up to 900 feet down that driveway, just using 3 inch. You're like, oh my God, 250 pounds, that's a lot of pressure. That's what they did for decades. Is it not in the big cities when they didn't have 5 inch and they did big water? The pumps, some old Max, some old C grades were screaming. That's what they did for 4, 5, 6, 7 hours. They're burning down the warehouses and the tenements. And by the way, it's 250 pounds of the pump discharge pressure. By the time it's 4, 5, 6, 700 feet, what is the pressure done? By the time it gets to the rig at the end of the driveway that's fighting a house fire or the barn or whatever, the pressure's really not that dangerous anymore. Hasn't it dropped significantly? So now it's a safe operating pressure coming into that auxiliary intake. Because would you much rather drop 700 feet of 3 inch down a driveway to a private dwelling or 700 feet of 5 inch? Because if you dropped 3 inch and you had to get some chief's cars or ambulance, what could you do if you had to with that hose running down the driveway? Could you move it over to the side? But if it's 5 inch, we're not really going to move that 5 inch. So those are things we have to think about. It's tactical mobility of our attack and supply lines of how we're moving them. So here is the standard booster backup operation. First, we went to pull up a private well, they stretch an inch 3/4, they're attacking off the tank water. Driver operator got a 75, not in this picture, but today, they had a 75-foot green 3-inch feeder line, they would bowl it out. Second new rig would pull up, they put it in the pump, they'd get out, hook it up, they'd be sitting in the tank water. Third new engine company would come in and they would catch a hydrant, they would lay in, and if they did curbside for supply, which here it shows the hose, I want the hose out like this for my picture. But if this actual fire happened today, if this fire happened today in Escambia County, you'd see these 2 rigs, but you wouldn't see any of that hose. Because the fire's on the opposite side of the rig. So where would that feeder line be? It'd be officer side to officer side. And a 5 inch would be coming in on that second new rig on the officer side. What would that do to this street right here? Open it up where a rig can get by. Now, if the hydrant was on the left side of the road, the rig could, from that direction, could get all the way down, as long as that dumbass chief didn't park on the street like they always do. He didn't park his Crown Vic in the driveway and realize that car would put out the fire. I'm picking on my fellow chiefs all the time. I mean, I take pictures, and I'm like, what do you think that SUV was going to put out a fire? It's like I've got 4 chiefs cars parked in the middle of the street instead of full of what? 3 houses past to get in the driveway. There's on a big fire. We want that tower ladder to be able to come in from an opposite direction, and the third new engine company, right? All that kind of stuff. What I promised you yesterday morning that I was possibly going to do, piss you off, but I was going to do what? Set you free by the time the week goes by. Just remember that, I'm making you mad, okay? But again, that fire today, that feeder line would be on the officer side, that supply would be on the officer side. Now, how many of you, your driver operators, would have a problem with that 5 inch coming in on the officer side? They would want to have it on the driver's side. Raise your hand. Raise your hand. They'll look better than us in Florida. They love to feel it. They like feeling things. the biggest argument about 15 years ago, when we started saying we want a Curt Isakson supply, where if the rig was on this side of the road, we want the pilots to come in on the officer side. If the rig was on this side of the road, because the house was on this side, then we would want it to come into the driver's side. You with me? Because we want to do what curbside for all of our lines, when possible, to leave the road open for ambulances and later arriving rigs to come in to the scene from any different direction. And our drivers, man, they were in an uproar. I mean, they had a cool tile. They were having like private meetings, like drivers conventions and shit. They were about to go to the union and have to open up the contract that it was their right that the pilots always came into the pump handle so they could feel it. They want to feel it. So what we told them was, we said, you feel something on your own personal private time, and when you're at a fire pumping a thing, it's a $500,000 apparatus. Look at the gauge, the intake gauge. If it says 50, the hose is hard. If it says 0, it's soft. See, you're laughing because I'm telling the truth. We really would not want the American people to know how much we suffer. So I'm being serious. I said it yesterday. That hurts people's feelings, but it's the truth. How many of you, if you had a family member down the second floor of a private dwelling fire in your community or across the country, you would want to analyze the fire department's trainer records and what they do day in and day out and how they respond, operating tools and equipment they have? If one of your family members died, I'll promise you right now, somebody in my family died in a house fire, I'd own the fire department. I would own it. I would own it. It sounds bad, but you know, like, it hurts your feelings when I say that, doesn't it? But it's the truth when we look in the mirror, because we got to look in the mirror and say, are we going to be better tomorrow than we are today? And the reality is, so many times we know what we should be doing, we're not doing. And so many times we get caught into cultural habits that really have no meaning or reason. And we have to ask ourselves, what's more important? It's kind of like sometimes when somebody comes in a fire department, we're more concerned to teach them how to clean the toilets and make coffee and mop behind the rig when it pulls in the truck bed. Over like truly how to catch a hydrant, stretch a line, hook up a Hurst hydraulic TNT tools, right? We got to get our priorities in line, if you will. The videos on here are acting goofy on my Mac, but I want you to pull out your phone, go to countyfiretactics.com, countyfiretactics.com, and the videos for this program and some other videos are all on there for you to use, share, do whatever you want. Go to countyfiretactics.com. If you want to, you can make that like as a save on your screen where you can just click on it anytime. Top left, you just go to countyfiretactics.com, go to the top left, and click, it'll scroll down, you click on videos. Everybody's going to probably have a hard time at the same time and overlook the system. But if you go to countyfiretactics.com, to the top left, it'll scroll down and show the different fire conferences we do. But you see where it says videos? Click on videos, and you can watch it on break or lunchtime. But there's a trailer fire video. It's one of the first videos. It'll show a mobile home, a single wide trailer, 50% involved in 21 seconds using a 2.5. In 21 seconds using a 2.5, they knocked the bulk of that fire down. So much different videos on there that, scroll back, brother. It's actually the first video at the very top. The first video at the very top. Top one video. I say 11 seconds because it's a fishing story, not from the Gulf of Mexico, but most people will agree it's 20 to 21 seconds. Well, let's just say it took longer than it did. It took 30 seconds. And it's an inch and an 8 tip flowing 265 gallons. Well, let's say it was flowing 300 gallons. Let's say that 2.5 in that video is flowing 300 gallons a minute. Let's say it's flowing 300 gallons a minute. And let's say it truly took 30 seconds, but it didn't. How much water is that? It's 150 gallons. 150. I want y'all to look at that video now or on your break or lunchtime. That first video on the videos I'm counting. And literally 150 gallons of water put that fire in a timeout. Boom, shut it down. And if you did nothing, it would probably take 15 minutes for it to stop burning again. But it's like a 5-gallon bucket of syrup. Now, in 30 seconds, it knocked half that mobile home down. What happened to mobile homes not on fire? What happened to mobile homes not on fire in that video? The 2 back bedrooms and the bathroom. And it's 2 o'clock in the morning when we be in those 2 bedrooms. People, kids, mom, dad, aunt, uncle, grandma, grandpa. Hundreds of people die every year in mobile home fires and trailer fires. Fire departments will pull up, they'll call what they'll say it's fully involved, in reality it's not fully involved. Maybe it's a third involved, maybe it's 50% involved. Most fires in trailers and mobile homes don't start in the bedroom, they start in the kitchen, dining room area. Majority of them. And I talked about this yesterday. What are we telling people to do this last 2 years, be it NFPA and our fire prevention message? What are we telling people to do? Tell them to close their doors. So we're going to tell somebody to close their door, and as our fire prevention message, we're saying close the door, it'll keep you alive. But if they close the door and they're sleeping in the bed, they don't wake up, because the smoke detector won't wake them up, or they don't have one, or it doesn't work. So then, what are they relying on? You and I will knock that fire down and get in and open that door and drag them out to a non-ideology environment. So we're going to talk about closing the doors, we're going to be talking about aggressively searching at the rapid knockdown. So in that video, I showed that video, 13 years ago at FDIC. I was in a big classroom, completely sold out. I don't know what it was, 500-600 people packed in there. And I showed that video. When that video plays, you'll hear me say, hey, is anybody inside? Talking to the neighbors. Anybody inside? He actually said it on the video. And when I said, is anybody inside? What do you think a lot of the audience did? Because it was such a big crowd, I couldn't see them face to face. They wouldn't worry about offending. What did they say? Ain't nobody alive in there. Because they looked at it and saw so much fire, and psychologically, what their brain felt. That's a big defensive operation. It's fully involved. And whenever we started giggling, I said, hey, I want to let all of you know that you're giggling and laughing. You just killed somebody. I said, when they knocked that fire down in 21 seconds, and they made entry through the back door. From that back door, when you force the back door, everybody, I want you to imagine the back door of a trailer or mobile home. Can everybody imagine that? That back door? And when you force that back door, can that be a humbling experience, even if you've been on a door prop 50 times? Right? That's like the humbling factor of force punches. The whole thing flexes, you know what I mean? But you get it forced. Would you agree, without even entering with that door, that back door, that trailer mobile home, that I could reach in and touch the door of the bathroom? I could reach and touch the door to mom and dad's room. Does everybody agree with that? I could literally step in at 1 feet and get to Johnny and Susie's room where the bunk beds are, without even hardly breaking the threshold. And in that video, the whole front was going, it was on fire, and the doors were closed to Johnny and Susie's room and mom and dad's room. And in that exact video, when they forced the back door and they made entry, it wasn't even over 100 degrees in the back bedroom. Just had a light haze of smoke. The little crib and bassinet next to the bed. The toddler preschooler that lived in the other bedroom was older. Artwork was taped to the wall. The helmet cam of the person that went in that room. When a fire was out that day, we were talking about it. Next shift, we did a critique. And everybody in there talked about and asked the questions, how many times is a fire department in this country pull up on that same fire, seen that amount of fire, stretching in straightforward using an automatic firehouse and flowing 80 gallons a minute, and they fought for 10, 15, 20 minutes before they had to knock down. Never forced the back door. They went the way we go most of our career. What door we always think we had to go through that front door at the mobile home. You didn't want light. You're not going to raise your hands and make you feel guilty. You had to open that front door, and you went in, you were worried about doing what as soon as you stepped into the front door. Fall to the floor, right? And you take your time, and you finally get down the hallway. 15 minutes after you've been on scene trying to knock down that fire, using 80 gallons a minute for 1 or 2 inch three-quarters, tankers are coming. You open that door. And what's in that first door? 2 kids sleeping in a set of bunk beds. Walls aren't even stained. Sheets aren't even dirty. And you make it to the end of the hallway with the next door. And what's in that back room? Mom and dad. Notice you have to live with the rest of your life. In order to pull up, just put a little more water, a little faster. Equalize that fire. Maintain and create survival space. You need to have the fire ground experience, knowledge, to know that you just sent 2 people to that back door as soon as you got there. It just forced that back door. By the time they forced that back door, that's what happened to all that fire in 1 second. You open that door and you pulled off 15 minutes earlier. You have thrown a non-breathe breather on. They possibly could have been talking to you before you ever else. Why do you think I'm emotional and passionate about it? I told you yesterday morning, I've been to over 50 civilian fire fatalities. day when you go to fires, you have to live with the understanding that maybe you could have done a better job if you had that fire today instead of 10 years ago, or 4 years ago. You just hope you can share that message with somebody else, that maybe they don't have to go to that fire and blow 80 to 100 gallons a minute, or 150 gallons a minute for 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, and then just go through that front door, not assign a two-person company to force that back door. Because on a mobile home, that back door, when you force it, you search those 2 bedrooms, the closest thing to VES was using a door. On a mobile home, that back door is the closest thing to doing VES. It's not a window entry. Because those 2 rooms are so close to that door. I can tell you now, when I pull up on a mobile home based on the numbers of million fire fatalities I've been to, as a chief, we're gonna knock the shit out of that fire that's in front of the mobile home. And we're gonna dry stretch an inch 3/4 of the back door. As soon as that line gets back there, they call for water, and even if the front of the mobile home's burning, they're gonna go in that room in the back door, so they have a line there, if that fire wants to race down that hallway, just open that door, what could it do to that fire? It could draw, we're gonna have a hose line there. And I will be honest with you, as much as I'm a smooth bore fan, at a mobile home, that's one place I wouldn't mind having that sheet 150 and 50, because you could almost do like a propane tank fire, and get in the hallway, I mean, and literally just almost fall, hold it in check, just for a quick rapid sweep and pull them out. I'm sorry guys, I had to admit you, there is sometimes a fall. Just gotta be transparent, you know. But it's one of those things you gotta think about. Finding your tank. What does that mobile home pull it up and say 30 seconds? At 5 gallons a second is 150 gallons a minute. Or 60 seconds, 5 gallons a second is 300 gallons a minute. We gotta understand the terms. We pull up, we're flowing water. How much water does it take to fill up the hose? How much water am I flowing per second based on how many gallons of water I carry? And these numbers are off there because I don't want you to, I mean, you can take a picture of this, but this can be slide on like you'll take pictures of, because I want you to do the work. I want you to figure out what your tank level lights tell you. And it's Scandia County, on our apparatus countywide, we know just charging a 200-foot inch and 3/4, just filling up the hose is enough to drop the tank, to drop that full level, that sensor at the top to tell us if we think we're down to 3/4 and we're really not. Literally 50 gallons of water will drop the full leg to tell us 3/4. When we use 125 to 150 gallons out of our 750 tank, the 3/4 light goes out and it says, basically you look at it and you think you're at a half a tank, when in reality, sorry about that, on the 125 I should say 3/4 instead of 1/4. When we use 125 to 150 gallons, we think we're down to a half a tank, but we still have 600 of our 750 gallons of water left. And then the numbers just kind of vary depending on the apparatus from there. And for us, when the empty light starts blinking, we have 200 plus gallons left. We can't really zero it in. It's all over the place, but we know it's 200 plus all over the county for us. What is 200 gallons on a 750 gallon tank? It's a lot of water, man. It's over 25% of your water capacity. And what we found out when we did this was in our areas that are unhydrated, where we were tanking water from the hydrant to the sink, our rigs that were the nurse tanker, engine tanks or whatever, when they were dropping their tank of water in another tank, when the low empty like blinking, shut it down, what were they carrying back to the hydrant every time they were making trips back to the hydrant? 200 gallons of water. 200. So 3 trips back to the hydrant was a whole one less tank that they ever had to make back to the hydrant. It was a big factor for our organization to truly start looking at our tank level lights, our sensors, like they do a fuel level gauge on your car or your pickup truck. I'm not saying get out a stopwatch on a fire run over. I'm not saying get out a stopwatch on your drill ground days, on your training time in your tank, understanding what you can and can't flow. These numbers here are just, they're not exact because there's so many brands. There's True ID, and yes, I love True ID. You know, a lot of times people want my opinion on hose. Man, I'm scared to really give it right now until we truly, I think I talked about it yesterday, this Thursday morning here yesterday. People, I get emails, I get messages, I get calls, and I don't really like to give my opinion on what hose you should buy, not buy. I think you got to go out and do your own work. Because, man, you know, what I've found is as soon as I say, man, that hose is good, 4 months from now, somebody's called and tell me that their batch of hose, that same stuff was delaminating and it was busting. So until the fire service demands a standard level of performance on hose, I'm not here to tell you to buy any sort of hose. But the inch and 3/4, True ID, hose, the 225, the True ID 2.5 that I've used, in training environments felt good, flowed good, and seemed pretty awesome. And I'm hoping that it sustains the test of time. And I'm hoping that they get that quality. I don't expect it to be the quality of Captain Clark shows that I talked about yesterday, old triple jack and brass coupling that never wears out. To get it off the rig, you got to cut a hole in it to get it to break. But I do want to achieve a day where hose that's only a year old, or 2 years old, or 3 years old is not busting and blowing up, delaminating, and it hadn't even been to 3 fires, you know? So these numbers are just simple numbers, and I like to just call it the 10-15. So inch 3/4, 10, it's not that much, but you know, I'd rather go on the safe side. So I stretch a 200 foot, inch and 3/4, how much water is it going to take for a 200 foot, inch 3/4 to fill it up before we even flow water? 40 gallons of water. That's just simple numbers. We're not splitting hairs here. Simple numbers. If it's a 2.5 and I stretch a 200 foot, 2.5 freaking, that's going to be 60 gallons. So I'll pull up on a 2-car garage fully involved, and I think I got to dump that 200 foot pre-connected. I got to spaghetti the hose all out in the yard. It took 60 gallons just to get water to the tip of the nozzle. And then I stretched a 200 foot, inch 3/4, really I didn't need the whole 200 foot. And I charged it at 40 gallons of water. So the 2 lines together, how much water is that? 100 gallons before I even started flowing water on a fire. Can you see where that would matter if someone had a little bit of idea that it takes water to use water? Because if you're not on a hydrant, could you pull up on a fire that the tank could put the fire at a timeout? But if you put too much hose in the ground before you have more water, you could eat up too much water just filling up a bunch of damn hose lines. And when we started looking at these numbers, that's when our organization started doing the B-Watch Blitz. Where when we pulled up on a 2-car garage, or we wanted to do quick water, we wanted to hit it hard, y'all. We said, well, why are we putting our whole 200 foot, 2.5 pre-connect on the ground? All we need is what? 50 foot, break it, hook it up, and roll out. What did we just eliminate? 3 50-foot sections of 2.5. How much water did we just save for actually putting on the fire? 45 gallons of water. Now these numbers are rounded up. Chris is in the back doing calculations to figure out what it is. But these are rounded up because what would I rather you go? An exaggerated side, because I want you to think about the fact that when you're not operating off of a hydrant, you can't start dropping 300 foot of 3 inch to a water feed to a 2.5 inch 3/4 if you don't have plenty of water, because what can you do? You're eating up your tank water just to fill up hose. So when you're operating off a booster tank, and you're doing a booster backup, and you don't have a sustained supply, or you don't have an adequate tanker operation, should you only stretch and use the hose you need, or stretch and charge? And I'll tell you what I've done in some fires where we had a significant amount of fire, but I really wanted to jump on it. I really wanted to ante up like I'm in Las Vegas with all my winnings. I'll have them stretch as little bit of hose as they need. I'll maximize stream reach, and any other lines that I put on the ground, I will hold fast and charge them. We'll be proactive. We'll leave the lines on the ground, but I won't call for water for them to be charged until a second rig gets there, or that third rig reaches my hydrant. I'll go and make up and cut down that reflex time by getting the lines on the ground, but I'm not going to just charge them to charge them. They're in place, but I don't want to waste 40 gallons on that 200 foot, 3rd inch, 3/4 that I really don't have to have right now, but at least I'll, 90 seconds faster because it's stretched and ready to go, or I can call for it in a given second. But I want to save that water for that initial stream reach, if you will. So water accountability, and you know what, it's inch 3/4, 2.5, or 3 inch or 5 inch. Remember, when you're operating on the tank water, it's 1 gallon per foot, 1 gallon per foot of 5 inch. So if I put, like I just did this, I'm going to go, I was talking about going down that long driveway, 600, 700, 800 feet. If I lay 700 feet of 5 inch down a driveway outside of town here, up 700 feet of 5 inch down the driveway, and an engine pulled up, it was going to send them tank water, because they almost literally just run out of water filling up that 5 inch more 700 feet. But if they had dropped 3 inch, so they popped enough water to fill up that 3 inch, and still have some left over for that initial supply that rig that drove down the driveway later. I just tell you that to make you see how sometimes in suburban or rural America, we might be better off dropping that 3 inch down a split farm way down that driveway over 5 inch, just because we're not eating up as much water. The other thing is we can pump that 3 inch a little bit higher and almost turn it into what I call an attack supply line. Oh shit. an attack supply line. So just thinking about what we're doing. Anybody have any questions so far? Am I making you think? Am I challenging you? Am I getting outside of your textbooks up? What you do is challenge you enough that you go home and you do a couple of drills. You maybe look up some of the articles or the videos I talked about yesterday. At the end of the day, I'm not wanting you to take anything I tell and like put it in. I want you to do the work. I want to challenge you to understand that you are more capable than you can give yourself credit for. Take another break. Come back. We'll go for about 35 minutes or so until what? Just trying to break up the morning for you.
What's up, man? Not bad. It was lighter today than yesterday. Yeah, it was weird. What's up, bros? How are you? Army's getting a little tight.
Backs hurt.
what you're doing?
Seafood. Seafood.